Thank you so much for joining me. Today we have a lovely artist with us. Please welcome Mina Anguelova. She's a Bulgarian artist who lives in Portugal, Lisbon, if I'm not mistaken. So welcome, Mina.
Thank you very much.
Nice to have you here today.
Oh, I'm so thankful. Thank you very much.
So we're here today to speak about your book that you collaborated with Ivanka Sergilova. So would you like to tell us a little bit about your book, which I have with me, by the way?
Awesome. Yes, sure, I can tell
I
you.
have the Portuguese version, by the way. Yes. You have the book in 3 languages, don't you?
Yes, I have it here in English if people can see it in English. Yeah, I have it in Bulgarian as well. And yeah, it's available on Amazon in the 3 languages. And yeah, the book is written by my cousin, actually. She is very talented. She is an awesome writer. But like she had kids really early and she couldn't really develop her career. And I think now she's starting a little bit. And she was like sending me these child stories she wrote when her kids were little. And The Fairy and the Butterfly was one of these stories. And I read it and I thought it was beautiful. It was really simple, but I found there was a deepness in it that really caught my attention, and I felt I could really develop interesting images with this text. And I started this project like 11 years ago.
Oh, wow. Yes. That's amazing.
Yes, I started working on it. First, I wanted to go to a contest, a children's book contest with it to try to make the book, but it was a complete failure. Like the book wasn't working. I was, I guess, too young and inexperienced. And time passed. I always kept this book on my mind. And like 3 years ago, I completely did the book again, like from scratch. And this time I published it alone with no help. But I really think it's been worth it. I've learned so much. I feel I have a lot of freedom. And
tell me a little bit about the publishing process, because I think you use the same publisher that I use, which is Amazon KDP. But tell me a little bit about your experience with them, just briefly.
Okay, so I was checking out how I could publish this book, and I had heard of CreateSpace, and I really wanted to publish in this moment of transition. So I got a little bit confused. KDP, CreateSpace, Ingrid, what I'm gonna do.
Did you publish with CreateSpace and then merged, or did you go straight with KDP? Because I go with KDP directly. I've ever since I started publishing.
Yeah, I actually didn't know so much about KDP as about CreateSpace. I had a friend who had published with CreateSpace, and I was thinking I'm gonna work with CreateSpace because I knew it was good. But then they merged, and I thought, okay, now this is a new platform. What am I gonna do? But actually, KDP was very easy to work with. Very intuitive website. Everything went so smoothly. I couldn't be happier about it, and I didn't have to ask many questions to the help center, but each question I had to ask, they answered me right away. And I think I would definitely recommend it. I think it's a very easy website to use.
Yeah, I agree. In terms of publishing with them, it's very easy. I don't know why they even had CreateSpace from like many years ago. I know they were separate companies, but like they were belonging to Amazon. It was just like strange. I always found it much easier to print with KDP Direct because you have both the ebooks and the print books in the same space. So it's just like if you have the ebook, you can even do the print. It's like makes total sense to have them in one place. But anyway, so let's talk about the how did you do the drawings for the paintings for the book, from like when you got the story, because you said you worked with your cousin Ivanka Sergilova. So when once you had the story, you said you worked for like 11 years. So I assume lots of changes have taken place.
Yes.
But yeah, the actual process of doing the sketches, how did you go about? Because like there's artists who do sketches by hand, and many work on the computer straight away. How do you work?
Yeah, so I am very meticulous. You know, I studied painting, so I'm like this illustration actually is a kind of a newer thing to me, because I was always doing painting, but I was like taking so much time doing paintings, taking days and days and weeks, and I really wanted to work quicker and be more concentrated and not disperse, you know. So I did a challenge for myself. I said, I'm gonna do one illustration every day.
That's a good challenge.
Yeah, so I didn't draw. I was just thinking in my head, imagining these drawings, and when I had it all composed in my head, I just, from morning when the sunrise till sunset, I'm just drawing like till it gets to perfection. And then I spend a lot of time editing the images, like when you can see, and for example, this image, this is the original drawing.
Yeah, because that's great you have them.
Yes, initially I didn't know that, I wasn't sure that the book would be square, so I did actually landscape images.
So basically, because that's one thing while I was researching, because I want to do children's books, and I was researching like what size the drawings have to be first, so you don't have issues later on when you're like scanning the images. And yeah, they look a little bit longer. Yeah, they look like A4 size or something like that.
Yes, actually, the book in my head was gonna be very different. It was gonna be like this, and the text would be like this. You see?
Yeah.
You know, I completely changed the concept, and I lost a lot of time editing the book because it ended up in completely different format. And
I like the format. I think the square format is very nice. I was researching that 8.5 with 8.5 like inches. It's a good, either that or 8.5 with 11. So
yeah,
like a standard.
Yeah, I like this size a lot.
Yeah.
I think a little bit smaller would work excellent as well, but not bigger. I don't think.
I think it's a good size. It's not too big. It's not too small. Yeah. I mean, depends. Yeah, imagine if it was smaller, you could maybe carry it around easier. But I mean, that's not really the point of a children's book. Not that much anyway. So you were doing very meticulously the paintings, and then you said you were editing them. But like, how did you like scan them? How did you scan them? Because I was trying to find information on how to scan images. Like, just if you can give us a little for people who want to know. It's just like, because I try to find information online, and until you ask an actual artist who does it, you find contradictory. So I have a few ideas, but just let me know how you did it.
Yeah, so the optimal thing is you have the illustrations, the size that you will want them in your book. Yeah, you work on them on the same size, and then you scan them with the regular, I guess if you have a very good scanner, it's best, but I have a regular scanner. Like you have 300 dpi options.
Yeah, I heard it's either that or higher, something like that. It has to be.
Like, you may want to scan higher if you eventually want to sell prints, or if you want to use the images for like printing posters, stuff. But for a regular children's book, you don't need more than 300 dp.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. So you scan the images with this kind of resolution. Then you put the images in the program that you want to edit them. I edit them a lot. I work on the contrast, and I even add a little bit painting over the originals. So I really polish the images, and I add the text. And actually, that's all you need to do to edit your illustrations. You create the page as you want it to be printed on the program you're using, and then you have to export page by page. You have to export page by page because you will have to like put all the pages together in a program that KDP offers you. Like you have to like send to KDP a MOBI file, which can be accomplished using their program. You have to get this program in their website, on the KDP website.
Sorry, but that's for the ebook file, isn't it? For the print, you need a PDF, yeah?
Yeah. For the print, you will need a PDF only of the manuscript, yeah. And separately, you need a PDF for the cover and back cover and spine.
Oh, yeah, by the way, with the spine, I assume, because it's a short book, obviously, I assume you just had like the cover image was just a little bit bigger. Yeah. You didn't really have to do like a title for the spine or anything like that.
From what I saw on KDP, I didn't even have this option of having a spine, like text on the spine. Okay. For my kind of book with this number of pages.
So because did you do the PDF using KDP, or did you use like how did you put the images and the text together? Did you use Word, or did you use Canva or Scrivener, or did you use... Yeah, for the paperback.
Yeah, for the paperback, I export a PDF presentation directly from the program. I use editing.
And which program did you use?
I was using Photoshop, and I exported directly from Photoshop PDF presentation with only the manuscript. It's very easy. You go to Archive, automatize, I'm not sure in English, and then export PDF presentation. And then they will ask you which files you want to add, and you just export.
Oh, okay, because I don't use Photoshop that much. I use Scrivener and Canva for like doing book covers and stuff like that, or Illustrator, but yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, similar. I was curious what you use.
Yeah. And yeah, it's really easy. Then you upload the manuscript to KDP. It uploads pretty quickly. It's not a big deal. And then you can preview how the book will look like printed. Then you approve this preview. They ask you if you want to get to your house a proof copy. You get the proof copy, take a look if everything's fine, and if everything's good, you just publish the book. It's very easy.
I just remembered initially you ordered the cover in glossy, didn't you? And then you changed it in matte, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. How do you feel? Because you have both. I assume you have both proofs, obviously. So which do you like the most? I assume you like the matte cover because you kept the matte cover, but why was that?
Yeah, so I think this is a choice that must be made according to the style of your book. Like many children's books use glossy covers, and I can see why. Like it's the colors are a bit brighter, shininess about it. It's very typical to use glossy for children's book. children's books, and I think it's really nice cover in gloss. Like it works fine. But for the style of my book, which is very intimate, you see, it's artistic. It's not so much, you know, fun and bright and stuff. I really felt the matte cover would work much better. And this matte cover is not just the cover without the glossy effect. It has a velvet touch, you know. These are very cool matte covers.
Yeah, I really like the touches. It's very, very nice to the touches. A very nice feeling.
Yeah, I got really surprised with really the quality of the paper and the print with KDP, because, you know, like, I'm not gonna pay anything. I wasn't expecting like the quality of this product would be so high. It is very nice. I only am sorry that they don't have a hardcover option. I would really like they would.
Yeah, that's the same thing. I'm not like completely happy about it, but I mean, it's not much to complain. As you said, it's like a free process. You just have to upload your files, and that's it. They just print it for you, and the readers can order one copy at a time if they want. So, which wouldn't have been possible years ago. You know, you had to order hundreds of books and keep in your living room, maybe. So yeah, I think it would be good if they give us the option to do a hardcover, because for kids' books it's more important. Yeah. They wouldn't be as fragile. I mean, it's not like it's a fragile cover, but you know, it's still a little bit.
Yeah, and they are not like many pages to these children's books, and it really like. It's not so like you say. It feels a little bit fragile. It really would. I feel it would be very good if they had hardcovers.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the stories. I'm not sure if I asked you about the actual. What's the story? Just a little bit, so we don't give spoilers or.
Well, the story is about a little fairy. This fairy is a little bit fearful, anxious fairy. She is a little bit different from the rest of the fairies. She doesn't have wings, and she cannot do magic. So she feels left behind, and like looks around her, and things are not going well for her, and she's very gloomy, and she like doesn't live her life. She just goes to the fairy snack bar and eats all the time, and just is always grumpy. And like fairies have eternal life, so she's living this eternal life of gloominess till one day she meets a caterpillar, and she gets really surprised. Like this caterpillar is like fat and ugly, full of warts, but she's really happy, and she gets really intrigued by this caterpillar. And from then the story develops. Like then follows the transformation of the caterpillar into a butterfly, and the fairy kind of witnesses to that. And after
don't tell us the ending.
and then the story unfolds, and I think it's very, very beautiful story about transformation, about growing up, about like gaining perspective on life. Like it was very important for me, this moment when they fly away, and like this was the focus point of my book. When you switch from microcosmos to like landscape view, when you are focused on problems and details, and you see everything like you feel like you're in the dirt, but then you can switch perspective into like a full view of the world. And I think this was the main inspiration and subject I wanted to transmit.
Yeah, I think it's a very beautiful message. And yeah, Ivanka Sergeyeva, she wrote the story. It's a quite beautiful story. It's brief. It's not very long story because it's a children's book, but I think it sends the right message, the message that she wanted to send. And the illustration just lifts the book to another level. It's just like, it's like, I think you've seen my review of the book I did yesterday. I think it's an artistic book. Not that children's books are not artistic, but they can be a bit childish. I mean, obviously, but with this, I think I said it will be a good gift for an adult, because it's like every page is like an art piece, in my opinion. So I love the colors you used. I showed this image yesterday as well. Yeah. Lovely images, lovely colors. So yeah. Another thing I wanted to ask you, because as I said, I'm sure there's lots of people who are looking for information about how to do children's books, or maybe there's writers like me who want to work with artists and painters, and they don't really know how to go about this process. How much do you do, for example, commission work for other writers? Because for this project you worked with your cousin, so you know it's family. I'm sure you sorted out somehow, but if it was someone else you didn't know, how would you go about a project like this? Like, if you could give me a few.
Yeah, actually, I am a freelancer. For many years I've been working doing animation and illustration for other people. This is the first project that is totally mine, but I've been doing illustration for many authors. I can show you some books here.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first one I did as a freelancer. I'm just gonna do a quick, like if people want, they can zoom in and see better the titles.
Yeah, actually, I'll share a screen. I'll show you the Amazon page on yeah, so they can see
people can check that out.
See that. And
so yeah, I am actually available if some writer wants to work with me to illustrate their book. I would be very interested.
Yeah. Do you have like it's always a problem, like you never know when you ask about rates. Do you have like a rough idea, or that's how much to charge, or that's just depending on the project? Or
yeah, like when I started, I was working very low budget. It's like when you start, it's always so difficult because you don't have a big portfolio. People don't trust you right away. And so you start doing things for less money. But now I'm getting more into it. So I'm starting to be paid better. Like right now, I'm doing like $34 per illustration. It's a little bit better. Like for simple illustrations, if I have to do a really complex one, like with a lot of details, a lot of realism, it depends on the style, of course. But for like a regular, typical children's book, I would say $34 per page.
And does this include, like, is it just like the scan, the digital image, or is the actual, I assume it's not the actual image, like the actual print?
A polished image, ready to go to your book.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I even many times I even add the text, like it kind of ends up including the designing of the book. Like all these books I showed you, no, not all. Some of them I didn't do the design, but some of them I included the design of part of the book.
Well, yeah, that's very helpful because many people still don't know how to do their own design. They're just more focused on the writing part. So it helps if you can offer that as well.
Yeah, it kind of depends too. If I'm working like full page illustrations and like the text is just a little bit of text and it has to be composed within the image, then probably I will do the design of the book. If like I'm doing just illustrations that will be placed in the book with a lot of text, then normally I don't do the design, you see.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking for my own projects to do like spot illustrations. You know what I mean? Like just
Yeah,
not
yeah.
full cover, but I don't know, like seeing your book now with a full illustrations, full pages. It's just like they look really nice. So it'd be a different style, but yeah, I don't know, it looks really nice. So
Yeah,
the,
yeah, spot illustrations will be much easier for you to edit, and I think uh, like maybe like if it's your first children's book, maybe it's good that you start up with something you can control better. It's very nice as well because a spot image you can add easily to advertisement, like when you want to do posters you can reuse it easily. Like a full page illustration, it's different.
Yeah, you have to play with the text as well. If you have just like white text, just text on white page on one side and the spot illustration on the other, it's easier to design, I assume. With the full page illustration, you have to place the text in the right space so it doesn't interfere with the other details in the story. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
that's
think but it's just a design thing. But I wanted to ask you all these questions because many people they don't even think about these things until they actually start researching. So I just wanted to ask you because you have obviously have experience with this, and it's from a painter's point of view basically.
yeah.
So you grew up in you were born in Bulgaria and so you live in Portugal. Or both your parents are artists, aren't they?
Yeah, I was born in Sofia in Bulgaria. I moved to Portugal when I was 4. My mother is a painter. She's an amazing painter. She's an amazing artist. She does tile projects. She does painting on ceramics. It's really beautiful work. I may show you later. And my father, he's a violinist.
Oh, that's nice. My dad loves violin. Yeah, violin music. Very nice. Um, Let me check just if I have anything else to ask you. I think I've asked you the main things. Is there anything you'd like to add? I don't know, you'd like to tell other people who'd like to either work with you or try to do children's book?
Yeah, I've done some books already, but now I'm getting into the publishing and into all this like doing books, self-publishing for the first time. So I'm very interested in meeting people. If you're a writer, if you're an illustrator, if you're any kind of artist, I really want to get to know your work, get in touch with me, just to exchange opinions, to make connection. I really want to like create a network with people, get to know people, get to know authors, and this is my main interest right now, to expand like from my little room into the world and get to know people and show my art and look at people's art. I'm really looking forward for that.
Yeah, that I completely agree. That's the whole point I'm doing these interviews as well because I keep finding people like lots of them on Instagram and they're like really talented people and I just want to learn from them because I'm learning from you and also share it with other people who want to learn because it can be difficult to find information out there for specific stuff like this.
Yeah.
Just one more thing I thought about to ask you. You said that it obviously depends on the kind of story you have to illustrate, but like a rough idea, how long does it take? Can it take to do the illustrations? like from 2 weeks to how many months, depending obviously.
So it really depends on the kind of illustration that you want. As I was telling you, I did each illustration for this book in one day, but then I was editing them for days and days. But for example, for my regular, more commercial children's book that I'm hired to work for, like for $34, for example, I would probably make the illustration in 1 and 2 days, make the editing in 1 day. So like I could do 2 illustrations in a week if I'm focused on a lot on this book. And like this is the regular time, I'd say.
Yeah, it depends as well on working with the writer, because you have to check if they like the sketches, and I mean, more or less. I mean,
yeah. Actually, usually that is the process. I make a sketch, it gets approved. I paint it, it gets approved, and yeah, this can take in 3 days. Can be done in 3 days to this process, but it can take longer depending of the complexity of the illustration.
Yeah. One more thing I would personally say, I mean, I'm a writer and I would like to have control above everything, you know, because it's my work. But with a book like this, with a children's book, where you need an illustrator, I think it's very important. That's just my advice for other people. I haven't done a book myself, but just how I would like to do it is like, obviously respect the other person who's the other artist in this process. You don't want to give the artist, this is the story and I want you to do this and everything, and you kind of be controlling, because that would be stressing the artist. And it's just, you have to give creative freedom. It has to be a collaboration. Obviously, for example, I would give my own feedback. I would like, maybe if I have a boy in the story, I want the boy to be blonde or something like that. But then it has to be like, you can't control everything. It has to be like, because sometimes for you, I'm sure you have your own ideas, and that could always enrich the story. But if someone is trying to be like, no, this is how I want it, you might not even come across those amazing ideas.
Yeah. So, what you're saying is so important to me. Like of course, I read the stories, I interpret them, I listen to what the writer has to say, but I really appreciate when an author gives me space to create like freedom to interpret this text. Then like he lets me open my wings and like do my best, you know. And when an author gives me this kind of freedom, I usually like can reach the full potential of the pieces I'm working on. Of course, I can be a very more like having a more mechanical work and doing just what the author wants. But from my experience, like an illustrator, an artist, he knows better, because it's his profession, what works better as an image, you know. So I think authors, it's just my opinion, but I think it's very good if they trust their illustrators and artists, because they know a lot about painting, know about illustration, they're imaginative as well. And I feel when you give this kind of freedom, the other person like blossoms and can do a better job.
Yeah, for example, as a painter, you know much better than me what colors work exactly, like work well together. Because, for example, maybe I like 10 different colors, but if I put them all together, they don't work well together. They have to be like proportionate and just have to give that the right feeling. So, yeah, my opinion anyway. And one more thing, I keep saying one more thing. In terms of the commission work, because for this book you did the illustration yourself. You did the design, so it's basically you published it. You didn't did commission work for someone else. But if you were to do illustration for another author, how would it go with the obviously because they pay you, how do you go about, do you keep the rights of the paintings? Do they have the rights to use the illustrations forever, or is it 50-50? How, because it's commission work and it's paid, so you get a certain amount of money.
Yes.
How does it work?
Well, this is always negotiable, but what I would like is to be paid for doing the illustrations. I would like to get a little bit of royalties. That is very negotiable. It can be little, it can be more, depending as well of what I'm getting paid to do the illustrations. And then I just want to be able to use some of the illustrations to promote, like to promote myself as an artist, to put them on my portfolio. I don't want to sell them. I don't want to use them for other stuff. This is illustrations for the author and for their book. Yeah, ideally just get paid to do the illustrations, and if possible, a little percentage of royalties.
Yeah, from my perspective, I mean, if I were to do paintings, I would be like asking permission to like have the images, to be able to like not necessarily do whatever you want with the images, because obviously someone paid you to do that work. But once you've done it, it's your work and you have copyright over it. But yeah, it should be, you should always be recognized as the artist, and you shouldn't have problems as promoting yourself. You should always, that shouldn't even be a discussion about it. That's like,
yeah, I kind of assume that, yeah, I would like to be recognized as the painter in the book. Doesn't, sometimes, of course, it's awesome if it's on the cover, but at least in the interior, I would like to be said that I did the illustration.
Yeah. No, I think it should always be on the cover. Like, it's always, because it's a collaboration. It's not like, I mean, unless you do like a one small illustration, yeah, maybe that would be an issue to put it on the cover. But still, even then, I think it's your artwork in the end. It's not just, you know, with the royalties, it's always a problem, because you never know how exactly to handle with the royalties, because if you publish, it's a bit difficult to keep track, because as we know, it's not like we sell thousands of books at once and you can like share it. It's always, it's like a slow build up, isn't it? I mean, in my case until now. So it's always,
I would need to get the royalties right away, like after a year, like if I have 3% royalties or 5% royalty or whatever, maybe after a year I get whatever the percentage is for that year. Like, it's not something
no, I'm just saying that from a like a managing point of view, it's just a bit difficult to like look, oh, how many, because if you publish on different platforms as well, maybe you publish with Amazon, maybe you publish with Publish Drive or Draft to Digital, you know, it's different sales channels. So it's, I think for me in particular, it would be a bit difficult to manage all those sales. But I mean, it can be done. It's just it's a bit more cumbersome. So I think it's one of the reasons why illustrators prefer to be paid a certain rate for the work, because that's how they know they actually get paid for the work they did. And then depending on the experience and depending on the illustrator, they have a certain contract and they require royalties or not, or, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, but none of this is like fixed for me. Like, this is a negotiable thing. If, for example, you pay me a little bit more for doing the illustrations, maybe we don't do royalties, whatever. Like, this is something I can discuss with, and I'm open to do as more fit in each case.
Yeah, I think it's just, as I said, it's kind of like a collaboration in a way. But yeah, if you get paid, it depends on every writer and artist how they want to go about. But yeah, it's good that you can do all these things. You know, you can choose and take. Obviously, if you wanna just do the illustrations for a set price, you have a higher price. If you want royalties, I assume it's, depends. But yeah. So other projects you're working on at the moment? Another book coming? Or?
Oh my God, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk.
Oh, okay. Well,
but yeah, I'll say just a little bit. Like
maybe don't give names or stuff like that. But
yeah, I'll just say like in abstract way. But I am working on a very big, amazing project right now. It will take some time, but it will be kind of, for me, it's like a monumental book that will be out. It will be not for children. It will be inspired by Kafka's writings.
that's awesome.
But like, it's a little bit early to talk about that. And beside that, I'm actually right now I'm trying to figure out what the next children's book is gonna look like. The next children's books I want to do independently like this. I really want to do one, start the next one, but I am not. I still didn't find the right text. I'm very in the beginning of that.
Have you thought of writing your own stories and illustrating them? Because then you'd have like complete ownership, basically.
I am yeah, really big fan of like Pippi Longstockings and so many beautiful authors. I really would love to be able to write, but like I am so obsessed and focused on images all my life. I've been like, my life is through art. Like all day I paint and I really experience the world and express myself with images, and I'm very into that. And switching to writing, it's difficult for me because it's a different world. I don't feel so comfortable. And I'm not sure if I will be able to write.
Well, maybe in time, in time.
Mm.
You never know. As long as you can paint, I wish I could paint so well.
Well, since I think this is my destiny. Like since I was born, I am obsessed with images. Like this is really something I don't even feel I choose this. This is like a limb of mine. This is my lungs. Since I ever known myself. So yeah, I don't know if I will be able to switch to other mediums so easily.
Well, you never know. It's worth a try. But I mean, yeah, I'm sure for now you're focusing on doing more artwork.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining me today, all the way from Lisbon.
Thank you so much, Lily. You have been an amazing support. Like I started like selling this book even before I started to sell the book. Like I don't know anybody, just like my family and stuff. And you emerged from like
well, the power of YouTube,
the ocean of YouTube, and was my first like I feel, I don't know if I can say like partner, friend, supporting me with this. I'm so grateful to you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I always love, like, I'm a visual person as well, so like.
I have a question for you too. I don't know if I can ask here. Maybe.
Of course you can ask. Well, I mean.
You know, I have. Have you ever considered like doing publishing your book in audiobook?
Yeah. Actually, I have been looking into it. And I have been contacted. Well, quite recently, I contacted a guy from the north of England, I think. But I think it's a more difficult process, and it's also because it's expensive, and I can't really afford it at the moment. And I don't know. I am planning to do my books in audiobook definitely in the future, but at the moment I'm focused on doing. On writing my non-fiction book next. Hopefully I'll be done with it by February. The non-fiction book for writers. And I have another novel, well, actually 2 novels, which I'm working on, a psychological thriller and the kind of like the sequel to my debut novel, kind of. And I've because recently I started getting involved with children's books, that I found like in the last few weeks I've been in love with writing children's stories, and I'm looking forward to work with an artist to have illustrations done for my stories. I think I'm going to focus on that. But yeah, the audio part, I am definitely interested in doing it. It's a different thing. I grew up listening to the radio. You know, we used to have like radio plays. I mean, we still have. But like, I used to live in a village, quite remote village, back in Romania, because that's where I'm originally from. And I used to listen to audiobooks and audio plays, you know, radio plays. And I always liked just the thought of just listening to the story and not even having the face for the voice, just listening to the story and imagining all those characters. So I think it's fascinating. But yeah, it's definitely a longer process. You have to find the right person to interpret the story.
Yeah.
Also, because my debut novel is quite explicit. I don't know if I'm gonna do it in audiobook, but we'll see. It's quite explicit, so maybe the other stuff I will consider more.
Yes, because as I told you, like I draw all day. I only listen to audiobooks. I listen to audiobooks and stuff from all like till the morning till night. I'm listening to stuff, and I am a big buyer of audiobooks. And I don't read so much. And I was wondering if I could buy your book in audiobook, but I see this is something that would
not yet. No. And do you listen to audiobooks in Portuguese, Bulgarian, or English, or
kind of all?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, unfortunately, not at the moment. As I said, I'm focused on working on doing children's books. I wrote a story recently. I think I wrote it in like a day and a half, and then just polished it a bit more. And I think it's the story I'm most happy with from all the children's stories I have. I'm really happy with it. But yeah, as I said, I'm focused on I was even thinking to do like have illustrations done for my novels, kind of like a comic book, but not quite. Just like most of the text. Just a few illustrations here and every few pages. Because I was reading a book recently, and it had like short stories after Edgar Allan Poe, and there were a few illustrations. Some of them were like sketches done in charcoal, I think. Others were like color illustrations, and it wasn't like on every page, but it was really, really nice. I thought it because I'm quite visual. I love paintings, you know. So I was like, oh, it would be nice to do something like that, you know, combine the idea of having like a novel with having paintings as well done. But I don't know, it's always an issue with like, for example, if you do a certain character, like the protagonist, if you're gonna draw it a certain way, I don't know, what if the readers will be like, oh, that's not how I imagined. But you know, it's everyone's choice. We can do whatever we like. That's what I like, that we can print and we can publish our own work. It's a freedom, you know. So a very long answer. Sorry.
Yeah, but it was interesting to me. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. As I said, I was looking at the audiobooks, but it's very, very expensive. It can be hundreds of pounds to do an audiobook. Like, because if you want to do it right.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I'm just focused on writing more, and maybe after I write a few more novels, I'll focus on other things as well. But at the moment, I just try to do everything I can myself, and then commission work that I can't do, like maybe editing, more focused editing for other people, or like having illustrations done by other people. Just so it's professional work, not like, you know, I can scribble a bit and, you know, that's not proper stuff.
Right.
Anything you would like to say about your book, or I don't know, anything else at all? Where they can find you? I'll try to put your Instagram, because I don't know if you have a Twitter.
I have a Twitter, but I don't use it very much. I publish some stuff but I'm not so involved.
Okay, so I'll put your Instagram on the screen. It will be on the screen during the whole during the video. So and you have a YouTube channel as well. If people want to look for you.
Yeah, I'm hoping to do a lot of vlogging. Promoting other people's art too, maybe do some critique of exhibitions and painting and other image books. I'm really considering like doing a lot of YouTube vlogging for the
Do more, because as I said, there's lots of people interested in illustrators and stuff like that. So that's how I found you, because I was researching how to do children's books, and it was very helpful for me.
If you want to follow my work, people, my YouTube channel will be very active, so subscribe there.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mina. Thank you for your time, and I wish you a lovely, lovely day, and good luck with the book. I hope you get as many reviews as possible.
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Very good luck to you too.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye bye.